So I just thought I'd make a quick video going over some of the solutions for the work requirement, the meta language test we did last week. If you have any questions, please do come and see me. The first question was handled pretty well, phonetics and phonology. Pitch is how high the voice is, stress is about the force in the delivery, intonation, the pattern that your pitch makes, and tempo is the speed. Most people did that really well. A few need to go back and revise that stuff. Parts of question 2 were handled really well. Some parts were more challenging than others. And I understand that maybe this is some stuff we'll need to review over the next few weeks. Assimilation, we're looking at when sounds change to be more like the ones near them. So sandwich pronounced sandwich is assimilation. Vowel reduction, again, probably not super clear in the transcript or in the text, but the word Saturday has a vowel reduction in the middle of it, where the in Saturday becomes Saturday. So again, that was a challenging one. Elision is all about sounds being dropped out. So one of the examples most prominently given was gonna. Some other people, other students did also include I've in line 5, which I was fine with. Insertion, again, challenging to pick up on in the transcript. You kind of have to really listen to the way words are pronounced. In line 9, you've got sliced cucumber, coleslaw, and chicken sandwich. But of course, you never really pronounce a gap between coleslaw and. So the insertion is on the sound for coleslaw and chicken sandwich. Tricky question. Alliteration exists in that same line, talking about cucumber, coleslaw. Assonance is when vowel sounds rhyme. So you've got fine and divine. There were a couple of other examples as well. Line 9 for your consonants, and I've got that underlined there. Cucumber, coleslaw, chicken. So the k sound in cucumber, the k sound in coleslaw, and the k sound in the middle of chicken all present examples of consonants. Onomatopoeia is ew in line 13. There's a few instances of rhythm, but I think the most prominent one was that's fine, divine, I guess, a bit of balance. Also, I guess in line 11 and 12, I don't have the money, they only had honey. There's a bit of rhythm there. Rhyme, there were a few examples in the text, most prominently money and honey. Again, that was a tricky question for sure. Most people were able to get some marks, but I don't think anyone got full marks, so that's something for us to work on. Moving on to morphology and lexicology, quite simply put, a word class is a group of words that share formal similarities. Question 4 was about word classes where you were given a particular sentence. And it's really important that you look at the function of the words to determine their word class. Because that first one, the question clearly says which word class is language here. So you've got language, which is actually modifying the noun invention. So it's acting like an adjective. So language describes the invention, where invention is the noun. Became is a verb, pretty straightforward. Something, again, that's a noun. Of is a preposition that creates a relationship between that noun that came before it, something, and the noun phrase that comes after it, intellectual fad. Intellectual, similar to language earlier, is modifying fad, so it's an adjective, where fad is the noun. Then you've got that. Now you can see there I wrote pronoun first and crossed it out and changed it to determiner. I'd actually be happy to take either answer for that one. It does determine the noun that follows it, century, and describes that that noun, but it also acts as a pronoun. Then you've got as being a conjunction, joining the two clauses. Sought is a verb. There is a possessive pronoun. Discoveries being a noun. And then the being a determiner. Now some people said that that was an adjective. Sorry, take that back. That was an article. And we were fine with that too, but article is not in our study design. Determiner is. Question 5, the language used in that sentence was quite formal. Question 6, about our primary or modal auxiliaries or lexical verbs definitely caused some problems, and I know there's been lots of questions this week as a follow-up from that. The thing to remember is that your primary auxiliaries are be, do, and have, whereas modal auxiliaries are verbs like can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, will, and would. Auxiliary verbs act to help verbs form tenses, moods, and other such things. Again, more on this as we travel throughout the year. The answers are there for you to see. And I can already see a mistake. Bear with me, and I'll change your worksheets as I look at my screen now. Clearly, do is a primary auxiliary, not modal. So I'll fix that up for you. And we have think, which is lexical, have, which is primary. Don't get confused by the contraction. Introduced being lexical. And now as I move to the next slide, I can see that these pages are backwards, which is annoying, but bear with me. We are over on the right hand side there where it says I would prefer, as this continues. Would is a modal auxiliary, prefer is lexical. And then the sentence that follows that one is you'll be starting small, where the contracted ul is will, will being a modal auxiliary, and then be being a primary auxiliary, starting being lexical. Question 7 was done pretty well by most students. It was much easier to follow the instructions and write the letter next to the number rather than drawing lines, because the lines became hard to follow. Voluntold is a blend of volunteering and told. Bad rep is shortening, rep short for reputation. Incentivize is an affixation. We would have gone with incentive and added the eyes on the end, eyes being the affix. Qantas is an acronym because you can pronounce it as a word, and acronyms can be pronounced as a word as opposed to OJ where you pronounce the letters, so that becomes an abbreviation or an initialism. Smorgasbord is borrowed from a European language. Workbook is a compound of work and book, and esky is a commonization because esky originated from the brand name. As I said, most did that well. But some may need to revise word formation processes. Moving on to syntax. Syntax is by far the most tricky subsystem and the one where students probably lost the most marks or didn't get a great deal of marks. Sentence types was done very well. As you can see, the answers there in front of you. Over the page, back to the left-hand side now, the relative clause was C, who had seen the accident, because that is a clause that relates to the children, so it relates, therefore it's a relative clause. Question 10 and 11, the sentence is the old man with the white hair kicked the ball. Now this was a tricky question because you need to identify the entire noun phrase when identifying the subject. So the old man is not entirely correct. The old man with the white hair is correct. I think nearly everyone got question 11 correct. The ball is the object. Question 12 pays to read the question, right? You need to identify the independent clause and the dependent clause, and then the thing I've put around a square around it. You also need to identify the sentence structure. Many of you missed that part of the question. When identifying clauses, the first step is to identify the verbs, all right? The amount of verbs there are usually indicates the amount of clauses there are. So in that first sentence, there are two verbs, so there are two clauses. Then you've got to work out what the main clause is, or the independent clause, and whether or not the next one is an independent or dependent clause. In this case, the conjunction before is a subordinating clause, therefore it's a dependent clause, making it a complex sentence. Now the second sentence, again, maybe the length of the sentence threw you off, but there's just one verb there. You'll see it there, looked. I know it's not a clear picture, but I can tell you that that verb is looked. One verb makes it an independent clause, making it a simple sentence. Using the same strategy for question 13, identifying the sentence structure means to identify the clauses, first of all, and in that first sentence, again, don't get thrown off by the phrases. Look for the verbs to identify how many clauses there are. There's just one verb there and it's underlined, broken, making it a simple sentence. However, the second sentence, before we begin our banquet, I would like to say a few words. You've got two verbs in begin and would like to say. Again, before is a subordinating conjunction, making it a dependent clause, then a main clause, making it a complex sentence. To be completely frank and honest, no one did super well on that one, so we will most certainly be revising syntax in the coming weeks. Question 15, was quite surprised to see a number of students leave this blank. All right, but I guess if you don't really know what coordinating clauses are, then that makes sense, or subordinating clauses. We will revise this. That first sentence involves coordination because of the conjunction and, which coordinates two main clauses or two independent clauses. I like pizza, she loves chocolate. And then the conjunction although is a subordinating conjunction. I love chocolate, although pizza is great. As I said, let's not get too worried about it now. We have plenty of time to work through this stuff. The final page, question 14, was quite tricky, but everyone did really well on semantics. 14, again, still part of syntax. Identify a noun phrase, verb phrase, prepositional phrase. In the sentence, we creep into the village through a row of houses. When you're looking for noun phrases, you want to be looking for more than just a solitary lexeme. All right. So there are the noun phrase the village is there, and the noun phrase a row of houses. I was lenient and paid the verb creep as a verb phrase. But again, if we really want to go within the spirit of the question and look for more than just a single lexical item, creep into the village is what we're after. Preposition phrase, again, I don't think that into necessarily is what we're looking for, or through is what we're looking for, but into the village and through a row of houses are the two preposition phrases we're looking for. Semantics is there for you to see, and interestingly, again, some people left question 19 blank. One domain of this text. Some said phonetics and phonology, some said grammar, some said linguistics, some said English language. That's it. All right, so what is the test about? What bucket are the words from? All right, again, if you didn't know what domain meant, leaving a blank, I guess, is where you went. But domain refers to the subject matter, I guess, or the topic. So I hope that clears up some of it for you. I hope it didn't make any more of it tricky. But again, I think syntax is the one we'll really focus on in the coming weeks. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions that may come from this video, but also any questions at any time. Please come and see me, come and see any of your English language teachers, send an email, whatever. Bye for now.